We have Professor Shireesh Kedare from Department of Engineering and Energy and Science.
Energy, Science and Engineering. Okay. No problem. Yeah, it's a new department and not everybody know, and a big name. So Department of Energy would have been easy, but it's not. Right? So how was it till now? So can you just tell me what you learned? Need finding. Okay. Yes. Then.
Concept of end-to-end innovation.
Yeah. Okay.
The methodology how can solve this problem.
Some case studies
Okay.
Yes,
that happened in data center.
different problems that is the.
That is what you did, but what you learned. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Okay, I learned this in last week, right? 4 days.
All the aspects of something before taking up a problem.
Has to be considered.
Need finding
Yes.
is the most.
Yes, need finding. That you told. Yes. Anything? How to? How to? Yes.
I see the student and that is innovative part.
Okay. Okay. So what is innovation? What is this end-to-end innovation? You said that you learned that, you got the concept. So I don't know. I am not trained that way. So can you just briefly tell me? Of course we use it and we are exposed, but maybe we can discuss that, is it? I am not taking exam. I want to know. Right? Anything that comes to your mind. So, okay, one thing is what is end to end. So that means end to market, need to market. That must be end to end. Okay, fine. So innovation must be what? What is must?
So need finding and problem solving.
Yeah, that's a process. So something new.
Some development
Okay.
can be commercialized.
Okay.
Can get some result.
Suppose it's not commercializable, is it innovation? It is innovation, but non-commercializable.
Create some value to the end for which you have taken the need from.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. So you are aware of what is, or you are looking at need all the time, right? So identify the need, and I think what I am going to do is much more on need. Okay. So the topic is, as you know, participatory technology design and development. Okay. Of course, innovation is somewhere in between. I don't know. Yeah, innovation is may occur or not. So we are going to talk about participatory technology design and development. Right. So technology design, design of technology. How do you design a technology? In a participatory manner, with a larger perspective of development. Okay, that is the meaning of this title, and I am going to talk about some concepts and then I will talk about case studies, at least one, maybe two, if this time is sufficient. So I am in Department of Energy, Science and Engineering. I am doing this on the basis of the work done by our student Dr. Vijay Honkarskar. Okay, he was a student in Sitara. He did his PhD and now we work with him, rather he works and we support him on field. So this work is mainly on his PhD thesis. The case study 2 that I may take is something which is afterwards, and then we are doing many other things at present. So that's it. That's what it is. And then, yeah, in fact, in the background of this topic is people, right? And how do you deal with it, and how do you interact, how do you participate. So Vijay is standing there, and it's in somewhere in, it's in Yadgir. Okay, fine. So what is design? What is design?
Prototype.
Yeah, it's a step in design. Yes. Right. So that's a design. So that's a mechanical design, physical design. What is the design as a concept?
Building some circuit or building new things.
Need not be. Design need not be new, right?
Demo or something to build or that will be help to make a development of.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yes, all these things, design, and who is a designer, and nowadays they use a word called designerly approach. So, designerly thinking, not design thinking, not designers thinking, it is designerly thinking, okay. So, they have twisted this word, but yeah, it is a particular kind of fine. First thing is, in design, think of functionally acceptable options, many of them develop. So, it can be done this way, it can be done this way, it can be done this way, it can also be done like a chair. This can be a chair, there can be a chair in a different way, there can be a chair in a different way. There must be at least thousands of designs of chair within different constraints, right. So, design is first, okay, understand the needs, understand the constraints, maybe do not accept all the constraints to begin with, but just develop various functional approaches to solve or to address a need. Okay, now how do you define a need? So, do you bring down the need to a very specific thing when you design? You should or you should not. And should you define the constraints? Okay, I should work on these constraints. Is it? No. You should not, because a chair can be table, right? A chula can be heat source, right? So, you do not know. So, do not get bogged down by novelty. It need not be new. It need not be specific. It may be somewhere here and there. Okay, you are, of course, you are working on to a chair. That means you are not working on cycle. That's clear. But then chair can be designed in many ways, and it can have different functions. And maybe when we design it, we get something else, meaning something else that appeals to people. And it is a chair, but something else that is there in that design appeals, and so it sells, or people like. So, design, first thing is, so there are two paradigms, there is a market economy and social economy. This is what we are talking about, is a market economy, like design a product, commercialize, make profit, right. In that, a design may be such that actually there is no need, you create a desire, right, that is what we see.
Is there any difference between designing and engineering?
Oh, lot. So, once you have a concept, so design is a concept, design is a maybe engineering is needed to make design or the product functional, but design is something beyond product, something beyond engineering. So, design is about understanding the needs, understanding the social impact, understanding the economics, understanding the cultural position, understanding various other things, right. So, a cycle came to India about 150 years back or 150 years back. So, it had a cultural effect, in the sense that before that, the bullock cart has a cultural effect. Bullock cart is integrated into a village economy, and bullock cart can be done by a carpenter and with a backup of blacksmith, right. And then there are various things, and locally depending on design there are at least 100 designs. Capart has documented all those designs. But when the cycle came in, it changed in the sense that okay, there is a manufacturing unit, okay, and there is again cycle is a step ahead in the sense that there are components which are manufactured. It is not that the complete cycle fully assembled is available in the workshop or the shop and you go and buy it. If you go to a cycle shop, there are only, like for example, you select a cycle, he will put a pedal, he will put a handle, right, because that while transporting that is not convenient, that comes separately. So it's the whole concept of standardization, whole concept of component manufacturing and whole concept of like mechanical engineering came with it. So it was culturally different compared to bullock cart, right. So both handle the problem of transport, but in a totally different manner, and it has a cultural effect. So design, yeah, mechanical engineering part of that design, or maybe suppose it's a process, then chemical engineering is a part of that. It is required for functionally sound design, that's fine, that's there, that's required. Maybe sometimes architecture is required or certain such supports are required, but design is a concept, I will say. Design is a concept. So this bottle, what is the critical functional design part of it? That, yeah, so this serration here which is conical is very important. So that is why suppose I press it, it is airtight, see, it is airtight, isn't it, and it does not spill. That was very difficult in the previous designs of bottle, before this plastic bottle came in, before this cap. Then people used to use rubber and this and that. So that is a design. Yeah, of course, how to make that strong, which material to use, it is engineering, there is no doubt, right, I will release it. So yeah, so design is, so we say that, yeah, for profit making we create a desire, right. Was this bottle necessary? May not be, there was infrastructure for water and there were various things, but they created a need, they created a desire, right. A mobile, WhatsApp is, do you need WhatsApp? You can live without it. So different design functionally accepted till the last moment. So you should work on. So prototyping is a way of expressing it so that others will know, they can react, they can tell that this design is good, acceptable or not, right. So that is prototyping, that is a very important part of it. So that various concepts, and then there are constraints, physical constraints, there are other constraints, so weight, transportability, this, that is all crystallized when you make a prototype, right. So that is there. So different design functionally as a till, but have 2-3 prototypes, have 2-3 options, but finally you have to come up with one design. So just crystallize at the last moment. So there is no perfect or final design, there are 2-3 designs may be acceptable, but we select one because of certain result incidental at that point, right. Maybe there is a deadline and I have gone ahead with this, maybe something else, right. So that is, so design is a thinking process, and so design can be organizational design, design can be anything, right. We can design development, right, what policy does, we can design a policy. There is no engineering in policy, maybe there is an engineering because you have to know that bridge can be built or roads can be built and this is the cost. So engineering is there, medical science may be there is no doubt about it, but design of a policy is predominantly a conceptual approach towards settling various constraints with and address the need, okay. It's something much wider, okay, design, right. So there is no perfect design. So actually there is no end to designing, like I can, so I bring something like Casio calculators, there are the FX21, then FX29, then FX 39, then FX 52, and then every time they will bring something, they will put in the market, sell it, make profit, flow that profit back into the next model and just improve. And then there are FX 82 that was very popular, if you know. Have you heard of that? And then FX maybe 129P, that is programmable, right? It went on. How? Why didn't they come up with FX 629P in the first stage? Why didn't they wait? Because it's a social process, right? If they had come up with the final design, maybe nobody would have known that this is calculator, it can be. But by just having a calculator which does basic mathematical functions, they popularized the concept of calculation and made people like to own that and use it, right? Otherwise, we were satisfied with the tables, right? And we didn't need calculator. But so the society has to be brought into that slowly. So design does that role. So design affects the society. That's very important, right? Okay, fine. So no perfect or final design, best possible design selected at the last moment. So this is typically for a market economy, for profit. Maybe not always that the need is created. There is a need, there is no, but you have to assess it. You have to know the need. So then there is a concept of human-centric design, in the sense that, okay, so basically when you assess need, it's the designer who is assessing the need, right? So you go there, you talk to them, understand their constraints, need, come back, work on it, develop a prototype, go back, talk to them, get a feedback, right? That is not human centric, that is a basic designing. But maybe you can say that you can go there, have 2-3 designs and ask them to use it, ask them to modify them, right? Then there is some more involvement of people. And maybe at the last stage, maybe you can just facilitate them to develop a water filter. Why not? Do you believe in the society? Can you make them capable of doing that? Maybe engineering we can handle, other things we can handle, but at least a concept like, yeah, we know we had one dryer and then for increased, so well I am talking in, yeah, so the tribals said that, okay, why don't you do this way? When they saw the dryer, why don't you do this way? Don't make it big, make multiple modules, right? That is what, because of various reasons, social reasons and economic reasons. I am not going to into that detail, it will take too much of time. But yes, so design is something like a concept. Design can be human centric, you can involve people in doing it, okay. So human centric design, but still it is a designer. It is designed by a designer. So his role, they can suggest, they can improve on it, but finally I will come back in my lab and finalize it and then sell it, right. That is a design in a market economy typically. Now what is a social economy? So in a social economy, in fact, satisfy need has a priority. So most of the projects that we do, there is a need and therefore need assessment and then satisfying that need in given constraint has a priority. Creating design, making profit may not be a priority, but of course we have to do that. So we have to make a business plan out of it, and business plan may be not necessarily investment, productions at central place and do it, there may be some other variations. Business model can be different. So we have to evolve a business model along with, so we have to design a business model. For example, have you heard of Selco, a company called Selco, Harish Hande in Karnataka? So did he design a solar lamp? Did he design a solar PV? No. Did he design a lamp? No. What did he design? He designed a business model. He identified a constraint that, okay, solar PV based light is very costly. and people cannot invest. So, okay, but there are people who can invest at 2 or 3%. So, he mobilized those funds, and the model was given to. Another aspect that he identified is maintenance is a problem. So, what he did is, okay, this is given to you, give upfront whatever is convenient. So, he defined, he studied and defined that, okay, you have to give me 100 rupees and then 10 rupees every week, and my person will come, also maintain it, also say and get a 10 rupees. So, that is acceptable to people, right. So, he designed a business model, that is also a design. He did not create a desire. He addressed a need, right. So, how he came up? Maybe, I do not know the process, what he did actually, but yes. So, we have to see what is the social reality. So, he came across this social reality that we think that it is too costly. We think that it is not maintained properly and I cannot maintain it, there has to be somebody. And we think that, yeah, we can certainly pay 10 rupees. The government approach is no collection at all, it is given free, and that is bad, right. But we think, that is what people think. People will say that we think that yes, we will pay. Why not, if we are getting light? We think. But it can be open innovation. As I said, it can be more of involving people. So, it is a design. So, social economy based design is with people, by people, for people, right. So, this with, by and for what? Yeah, that is different, but so socially responsive design is what I call it, okay, socially responsive design. So, what is design in social economy? So, we can say that flexible design solutions that meet local needs and resources, right. So, for example, this is a picture from Ganeshpuri area. So, we are building a dam. So, those people are building dam, they are using stone, they are using wood. They actually have a tradition of using a kind of bund with a hole in between and put a bucket there, basket there, so that the fish can be caught. So, they know how to build that thing, okay. So, that is just modified, saying that okay, do not leave that hole, you fill it. So, they have a wooden structure, they have everything. So, it is local resources. So, there is a need for water that is made using local resources, and there are various designs possible. Okay, if the nala is big, nala is small, this or that, so it is flexible. So, we have evolved a solution, okay. So, flexible design solution that meets local needs and resources, no problem, no issue, then it working, it is working, yeah, no problem. So, what is the role of designer? See, in design, designer is very important. Like I say that in appropriate technology, the appropriate technologist is important. The role of designer, role of a person is very crucial. So, role of a designer is very important. He is a facilitator for flexible design solution, evolving the flexible design solution, okay. And so, he is socially responsible? So, socially responsible is much more paternalistic approach, is much more egoistic approach, like I will do it. So, that role is diluted. So, a designer becomes socially responsive. He responds to people's needs, people's ideas, people's constraints. He responds, right, creatively, engineering wise, technically, he responds. So, he becomes a not responsible, he becomes a responsive, right. So, it becomes a co-design. In fact, this concept of co-design is there in the design field, and there is actually a journal named co-design, okay. So, you can refer to that. So, socially responsive designer is more maternalistic, or still better fraternalistic, right, with all friends and brothers, sisters together, right, friends together, it is fraternalistic rather than paternalistic, or even maternalistic is fine, but then still better is fraternalistic. So, socially responsive design. So, that designer is actually a facilitator for local people for evolving flexible design solution that meet needs using local resources. Okay. So, the definition is further enriched. So, it is not only a flexible design solutions that meet local needs and resources, but it is there is a facilitator involved in it, and that facilitator is facilitating the local people, maybe artisans, and we will see that. That is what we are going to see in this case study, okay, step by step. So, as I showed this, so see stones, this cloth, plastic sheet that they get from market, that is used, and then they made a bund, and yes, the water is stored. The concept, the context of this is that typically after the monsoon, all the water flows away, and by March or April, there is no water, right. But before that, even February, March, so we actually started with these people do vegetables or other things in February, March, and there is a water, but then the water has to be carried on covered. So, we said that okay, let us use this reciprocating pump. So, treadle pump. So, there is a pump which they will stand on and just work like this, and the water will be pumped. So, people liked it, and so they did it. So, those who had small ponds, they were very happy. So, others said that okay, we do not have water, so what can be done for us? So, we devised this. This is based on a local skill that they already have. Yeah, fine. So, this is the concept of facilitator, socially responsive designer, who is more of a fraternalistic and who is a facilitator for local people for evolving flexible design solutions that meet local needs using local resources. So, solutions, there is no single solution, right, that is also important. Design is never a single design. Okay. So, how do you do this socially responsive design? So, there are participatory mechanisms, methodologies. So, one of the major researcher in this is Robert Chambers from Sussex Institute of Development Studies, IDS in Sussex in UK. So, he has many papers on it, and he basically felt the need when he saw that survey is done, but then the survey is done, there are questions answered and a lot of data generated, but then finally the survey is designed to understand something. So, it is a program dominated, a project dominant survey. We are not necessarily trying to understand the reality. It is reality from a particular bias, right. Suppose I want a dam, then I will ask, okay, do you need a dam? Now, who will say, no, I do not need a dam. Suppose somebody is building a dam, I need it, I need water. And so they will not ask, do you need water, in what quantity? They will ask, do you need dam? And they will say yes, because the dam is known to be providing water. So, with lot of these biases, so that is what his findings were, and then he in fact she gives an example that okay, in a particular area in Africa, there are 7 villages to be surveyed, and there were I think 5 surveyors. So, 2 surveyors were given 2 villages, okay, and he found that the villages which were with 1 surveyor had a similar conclusions. So, he started doubting. So, he went into details and then lot of these things. So, he actually said that survey can be more participatory, more without agenda. Okay. So, he developed this concept of initially rapid rural appraisal, and then participatory rural appraisal, and then he also talks about participatory learning and action, not only just appraisal. Survey is about appraisal, but it can go further. not only appraisal, but something more. Okay, so in fact it's very complex, reality is complex, that's the problem, and we try to simplify and do it. So he alleges that okay, we want certain data so that I can sit in the air conditioned room and analyze it. That is what he writes, okay, that is what he says, that is in 8390 that he has these books. Okay. So, but reality is complex. So, do you want to know the reality, many aspects of it? So, reality has, so do you want to understand local ecology, economic, societal structure, culture in general, also what people's perceptions are, people's desire are, feelings, aspirations, their trends of aspirations, okay, has it changed? By directly interacting with people in a systematic manner, right. So, it is very scientific and systematic, so that we come to know somewhere near the reality, and that will be various aspects of it. So, there are hundreds of PRA tools, you can search for it, and he himself has a book on PRA, workshops on PRA. So, hundreds of PRA tools. So, they are about meetings, interactions, okay, you have to conduct meeting, you have to do interactions, then you have to have a resource map. I will show some of these things. You can create a, so basically go to a village, go to a place, gather some villagers, tell them that I have come to meet you, and then let us see what your village is. So, he will start drawing on the ground with a stick. Like, oh, so this is the road. So, where are where is water available to you? Oh, it's stream like this. So, they will draw a stream on the ground, in the dust with a stick, and then say that okay, so where do you typically, where are the houses? Oh, this is the region, these are the fields, these are the hills, and what not. We will see, for example, one such map. So, what happens is people get involved, they tell, then they tell small things. Oh, this is the typical, but then there is a small group of people who are residing this, and they are doing this, they are artisans. Oh, so there are artisans who provide you services, something like that. Okay. So, that is resource map, social map. Yeah, so where is the forest, where is water, where are fields? So, that is a resource map. Okay. Where is the hill? Oh, on the hill there is a lot of wind and what not, right. Then there is something called transect walk, I mean just go straight and whatever comes into picture document. So, take transect walk, so that you know you do not miss anything, right. Suppose you go by road, then you only see what you will normally see, but if you go straight, right, then you know something else also. That is a transect walk. Venn diagram on institutions. So, where are the various institutions in the village? Which are they? How do they interact? How they interact with population, people? Oh, there is a Gram Panchayat, there is a Tarati's office, there is a ration, for example, then there is a shop, or there is various such things, school, hospital, right. Another thing is you start knowing seasonal calendar. What do you do in monsoon? Then what do you do in summer? What do you do in this? So, and then just discuss a lot of things there. In fact, when we went into Yavatmal area and started working with people there, in 6 villages we started doing this, we took 6 months. It continued for 6 months. And we went without agenda. We knew that yes, this is the area where there are a lot of suicides, but we never said anything about that. Of course, they told us, there is no doubt that was the point of talk. So, that was there. So, but we never poked them. It came up and that was one of the issue. But we took 6 months, and at the end of 6 months we came up with a paper called Agrarian Crisis. Okay, and what are the about 47 loops that are responsible for it and various things. Okay, so seasonal calendar, timeline, in the sense that, okay, when was the first electricity, when was the first road, when was the first state transport bus started coming in, when was the telephone, oh, when did you see the car in this region, oh, he went there and he saw a car for the first time. I remember in my childhood, my grandfather told this and so and so. So, timeline, oh, there was a flood, and that is the time when this river which was here has started flowing this way or something like that, or there was an earthquake. So, timeline, trend line, how the transport changed. It was like this, then it became this, then we saw bike, then yes, that person brought a car, and so how the transport changed, how agricultural practices changed, trend line, then daily activity clocks, what a woman does since morning to night, right. Focus group discussion, there can be meetings of everybody, but what do women think? What do young women think? What do young males think? And what do the adult people think? Right? And so, I will give an interesting thing about it later, and then identify the problems and then rank them in different groups. So for example, so this is the typical session, and on the board he will draw a map and people will say, and then it's so formal, but it will slowly become that the board will come in center and then everybody will start getting involved. So there is a concept called, okay, give a stick to others. So this stick when you are drawing, now start giving it to somebody. So somebody is very eager to show that, oh, it's here. So give him a stick, let him take a lead. You are no more a leader, right? You are a facilitator. That's another thing happens in participatory development, that the people take initiative. Okay, that's very important. In designing, that is very important. But there can be particular discussions on field, what are the problems, what you do, or there can be, well, it's called technical interrogation, interview, discuss with particular person, understand his issues. So there are various ways by which you, on the right is Dr. Vijay Honkar and on the left is Dr. Bakul Rao, who is a professor here in Sitara. Well, I am not there, I am behind the camera. So that's the way it goes. Now I will go through the case study using this resource map and everything. So you will see that. But before that, why participatory design? Participatory design because reality matters. The needs, desires and priorities of people matter rather than objectives of project or program. Okay. So we always go, we are presently working in 6 areas, we go without agenda. We don't say that we are good at energy and we are working in solar thermal energy, so we have come up to tell you what is a solar cooker. No, never. Okay. Go without agenda and try to assess reality because it matters. Reality is local, it is very complex, it is diverse, many aspects are there, it is dynamic, it changes. In fact, if you go to tribals and ask at the time of harvest, how do you think, how are you? He is very happy and says, yes, life is very good. But when you go in the month of May, oh, he says that sea is very bad. And he doesn't talk about particular problem, he talks about life in general. So the perspective differs, right? So it's dynamic, it's uncontrollable, unpredictable. You don't know, like for example, a mother schedules her feeding to her child, what will be the criteria? So a working woman will say that, okay, morning I will give this, then afternoon Bai should give this and this and that. So what is the criteria? Crying, then nutrition, of course. The major criteria is the child should sleep. When she wants to work, child should sleep. So for example, feed mother's milk so that the child sleeps. So schedule it at that time where I want to work for my office. So that's another criteria, right? So it's unpredictable. What can be the dominant criteria for various groups? Oh, this is example from Robert's chamber, by the way. So capability. So another thing that participatory design helps is capability building, capacity building, enablement leading to empowerment. Okay, people participate if they are capable of participating, right. So you have to enrich them. When you initially interact, then you know that these are biases. So you take them, you tell them something, you ask them to read something, you have some field trip somewhere. So they learn, like we had a field trip to a person who was doing organic farming. So we are working on low cost farming in Yavathmal district. So we took them there, and then we had workshops and this and that. So you build up their capacity so that they can participate, right. So it's a process. Participatory design is a process of building up capacity. It is a process of enablement. It is a process of empowerment. It's a process, takes time, it has nitty-gritties, it's slow, very important, okay. Clarity and communication is needed, okay. When you tell something, you have to tell clearly. So the stages have to be planned, executed in a proper manner, told, and so on, so that they know it through, so execute through processes which are known to them in their language. Like we went to Karzat, so this Vijay is Marathi, local language is Marathi, but still some of the concepts like Agrakram, which means priority, is not known. We wanted to rank the problems. What are the problems of priority? But he couldn't convey a meaning of what is priority. What is most important? They just don't know. So what they did, what he did is he said that, okay, so you have a daughter and you have to marry your daughter. She is of the age of marriage. So what is the ideal groom? They said that, okay, he should not have, he should have employment. He should have good things, then he should have land, he should have house, he should not be drinking, and he should have this and that and that. And then he said that everything is not possible. So what is most important? Then they said that yes, this is most important. He should have employment. He may be addicted to cigarettes, no problem, but he should have employment. So there are priorities. So the concept of priorities is communicated, and then you go ahead, right. So you have to talk in the language that they know or build up that language, fine. So defining, dignifying people's reality and aspiration helps inclusion. So in participation, you dignify their abilities, dignify their aspirations, right, and that takes the central line, not your agenda. Okay, so people's participation defines development, and in fact, I have been struggling with this question called what is development? Is infrastructure a development? What is development? Giving water to everybody is development. What is development? So recently I think that people's participation defines development. If peoples are involved and they are trying to do something, that's development. Okay, that's what I think. I may be wrong, this is my way of journey. So let's go to a case study. Improved traditional cook stove with twisted tape back. Well, that came later. Initially it started with a social map. This is in a Gawantwadi in Karzat. Karzat is about 100 kilometers from Mumbai and about 80 kilometers, 78 kilometers from here. And inside Karzat about 90%, 80% population is tribal. And so we work, it's very approachable and it needs to be known. We don't need to know them. So we had been going there, and this Dr. Vijay, of course he was not doctor at that time, started with a village called Gawantwadi. Okay. So he went there, and then this is a social map. As I was saying, social map is one of the things. So you can see the legend, home with brick walls. So this is a home with brick walls. Right? These are the homes with brick walls. Then this is traditional house. with a slanting roof. So, that kind of symbol. So, you just develop these symbols with people, just start drawing them, and then like this is landless laborer's house. Okay, it can be traditional house, but he is landless. So, you start depicting all these things. This is a big house, large landowner. So, you get a picture of it, and then you have other symbols like, oh, legal electricity connection, either illegal or state electricity supply, no connection or illegal connection, right? Or, so this is like he is a carpenter, there is a bullock car, there is cattle, there is a bike. So, this person has cattle, this person has electricity, either illegal or does not have electricity, and so on. You can get a map, that is a social map of village, whereas this is a resource map of village which has evolved from PRA. Okay, that is, see the symbols, paddy fields, sloping land, stream, river, forest land, meadow. So, these are hills, this is sloping land, this is forest area, right, and this is a stream, this is a river, this is another stream from here, and this is dam, right, this is paddy field, right, and this is forest. So, this is village residence and this is dam. Actually, I will show you a Google map for this later. So, and these are roads. So, main road, where is the main road? Yeah, so, yeah, this is the road, right, this is the main road, right, this is bullock cart road, and so on. So, you know, and people also know that we know, and people also know commonly that, oh, this is, so they get aware. Rarely they have actually recently took a stock of what is there in their village. So, this helps. Then I was talking about this problem ranking, right. So, we did identified problems, then we had focused discussion about prioritization, and then about 10 problems were identified, and the criteria was for well-being. What are the problems? So that they can be solved for well, and well-being is defined like this: sufficient food throughout the year, just sufficient money required for living, less health problems in a family, low drudgery associated with different activities carried by women, no quarrel at home, tranquility of mind. Okay, that is what is defined, and if that is the thing, then what do you think are the problems which needs to be solved? And so these problems were identified, and in a focus group, women, men, and so on, we prioritize them. Okay, and you can see the important perspective, and of course I have arranged them. So this is young women as well as adult women say that drudgery in firewood fetching is the first problem, followed by drudgery in water fetching, both of them 1 2 1 2. But that is not a problem for men, not at all. Yeah, this is young men, maybe they are taken by the mother and help them, so they also feel, but the adult men have come out of it, right. So, young men feel that yes, drudgery and water fetching, because they maybe have to, but they feel that secured and adequate income source is the problem. That is not felt by young women. See, it is a 7th priority. Yeah, but the lady is aware of the problem because her daughter has to be married to a person. So, she knows that this is a problem. So, for her that is the 3rd problem after the drudgery, right. Lack of health care, well, young men are not bothered at all. The women are bothered, but the adult men are highly bothered about it, right. You can see it is a first priority problem for them. Liquor addiction, well, nobody feels that there is a problem except adult men because they are in it, they know, so they say, right. Lack of toilet, not at all with young men, it is a 9th problem for them out of the 9 problems. Adult men, so men in general are not concerned with the toilets, but women are, especially the young women, and after these 2, it is a 3rd priority problem for them, right. Lack of transport facilities, and then I have added them and arranged in the sequence of overall priority, right. That's the way I had done it. So in fact, everybody in a way feels that firewood fetching followed by water fetching and lack of secure income are the main problems, and then others are following, right. So now we know that what is the need in a systematic way, in a community level participatory manner. We know that this is the need, okay, and now people also know that this is the need. So if I come up with solution, they are already ready to accept the solution. Of course, not so simple, but yes, they know, they also know this, and this is shared. This is in a common blackboard, of course in a focus group, and then commonly shared. So this sharing is very important, okay. So we started concentrating on firewood fetching, and but anyway, you can see this. This is the village, and now this is north, so that was eastward. So this is the dam, and this is the forest area, and this is the stream, and this is the river. And so what I have plotted, Vijay has plotted, this black is a route for fetching firewood in summer, and this dotted is route for fetching firewood in winter. In summer, the firewood is not available easily, so they have to go a long distance, and in winter, so this is a graph for winter. Similarly, there is a graph for summer, firewood fetching path during winter season in Gawandwadi, right. So, and this is distance and this is height. So it's not only distance, they have to climb and climb down and up and down, right. It's a hilly area. And how much is it? They have to climb up 120 meters, 145 meters, right. That is how much? 500 feet, and come back, and see, you can see this similarity that they come back, na? So that hillock has to be, and the village is situated on slightly higher level, right. So this is a path. So in a way, you walk with the lady, measure the steps, note down the heights. So women are also aware of it. Also you are talking to women. So for example, in water, not in firewood, but in firewood also, they typically go barefoot. So if there is a thorn, they have to literally throw out the load, because it's somebody has put it on her head and she cannot bend. Okay, water, there are 4 containers, काय म्हणतात त्याला? Pots, 4 pots on the head, and she walks straight from the dam to home, and then if there is thorn in her leg, she has to throw those pots because she cannot bend and do. So that's a problem. Okay. So you come to know this when you walk with them. So then we saw the traditional cook stoves. So drudgery, so what is the answer? We have to improve the efficiency. Right. So we started studying the traditional cook stoves. So there are either 2 pots or 3 pots, and this is the perspective drawing, this is a drawing. In fact, rarely a drawing is available of a traditional chula and the dimensions. For modeling, we require dimensions. You may be professors from mechanical or something, so you need dimensions, right? But rarely any literature, dimensions are published. The pictures are published, but not the dimensions. So we measured and then took average, right? So everything is something plus or minus. So what is the volume, total volume? What is the G, value of G is this diameter, H is this diameter, I is this diameter. So for 2 pots to cook stove, that is 0 because there is no third pot. And then M is this height, and I is this height, and so on. This is L, the feeding board, right? And so everything was measured in 10 different houses, and then it was averaged, and then band was put. Everywhere there is plus or minus band, right? So that is how we knew the chulha now, mechanically. And then we studied firewood. What is the firewood that they use? And so this is ain, dhamda, chera, kuda is about 50%, 20%, 10%, 10%, and then there are 10% others are used. Rarely agricultural waste is used? Not available, because it is a rice area and that straw goes for cattle feed, right. So, not much agricultural waste is available. So, it tells you a lot of things. Then what is the calorie? So, that of course we checked in the lab percentage volatile, because we have to model it, okay. Moisture content vary seasonally and so on and so on. And then average daily cook stove practice of an average family size of 6. What does she do? How the cook stove is utilized? So, there is a water boiling for bathing, then there is tea, rice, bhakri. So, what is the per capita per meal requirement? So much of water is boiled, so much of tea is done, and so on, bhakri, dal. Then duration, how much time it takes, number of daily preparation, 5 times water is boiled, okay. Total preparation time 105 minutes, pot diameter used, pot height, single pot mode, 2 pot mode, and then so minutes used, right, and then wood consumption for each of them. So, you have to do it separately and so on and so on. So, you know what are the practices. So, bhakri, how you also see it, right. So, you note down that other than just taking the data, you also note, oh, bhakri is kept in the chula, exposed to the flame directly after it is pre-cooked, and so on, right. And then this is a interesting thing, this is number of women per family size, and on y-axis is family size, and this is the average point, right. So, typically family size is, well, 2 to 14 is a family size in that village, 2 people to 14 people is a family size, and number of women per family size is typically 0.4, 0.5 means half the women and half the men, right. 0.5 is a number of women per family size, means half of them are women, half of them are men. Typically most of the places women are less. Sometimes of course women are numbered. So, we selected houses, this circled are the selected houses, so that there is a proper spread. Now, one of the important thing is,
Children are not included.
huh?
Children.
The children are included in family size. Family size includes everybody, but this is women per family size, that is the x axis, but otherwise it is family size, children are included. See, there is a plus or minus, okay. Typically 80, about 20% plus or minus, and that is by construction. In general, even though the family size varies from 2 to 14, the chula size is same, right. In fact, chula is optimum at certain power level, but as the family size change, nobody changed the chula. That is very interesting, and so you tend to use chula suboptimally. That is also one of the point, okay. So, we learn from what are the improved cook stoves. So, improved cook stove program typically started as like from a socially elated aim of helping poor or saving wood, and then they come up with design which are very efficient and maybe gasifier based or this or that, whatever it is, and made up of steel and something like that, costing about 2000 rupees to 6000 rupees typically. There are about hundreds of improved cook stoves in India, right, with a subsidy of 5000 rupees to 1000 rupees varying, and they have, so that is how it was started long back. And then people thought that, okay, if I develop a good chula, people will adopt it. And after developing, people, the researchers went to field saying that, see, this is a chula you should use. And people, so we had this experience. Vijay took 2 or 3 chulas, then there was a trial run, so people said that this seems better. So he gave 15 chulas to 15 households and saying that, okay, use this. After 15 days he went back, asked them how was it, half of them were not using, half of them said that, oh, it is good, and he asked others, why you are not using it, it is good, but well, yeah, we are not using it, yes. Then after 15 days, nobody was using it, right? Then he got, disturbed and furious. So why are you not using it? This is very important, and we talked about drudgery and see, isn't it, yeah, it is saving wood. Isn't it reducing the soot? Yes, it is. Then why are you not using it? So old lady said that, काय ते घेऊन बसलायस, आमच्या चुलीत काहीतरी कर. In the sense that, why are you bringing something from outside? Do something with our chula, because we are used to that. Our all practices like the bhakri is to be exposed to flame is not possible here, right? And then when he surveyed, he found many uses. Chula gives light. So in the night when there is chula burning, the child studies. Well, there is no light. So he studies in the light of chula. It is mosquito repellent. It is heat source. On chula, they have a bamboo structure on which they will dry vegetables or fish, right? Now, many of these things are not necessarily possible and they do not know how to adopt. So, they are slowly stopped using it, right? Again, of course, other point is they have to pay 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees chula, 1000 rupees is subsidy, they have to pay 1000 rupees, even if first time it is there. In Gujarat, Mehsana we went and we surveyed a village and they showed that, yes, so are you aware of improved chula? Yes. Have you used this? Yes. Where is it? Yeah, it is in there. It was in scrap. So why have you scrapped it? You see, we have festivals twice a year. In each time we use new chula. So see, traditionally chula is by mitti, soil. So they will build up a chula. And that day they go out in field, enjoy and do food cooking there and eat, right? And come back, next day morning they will have a milk boiling on it, overflow. And that is the thing. So every 6 months they have to have a new chula. So we used it for 6 months and then threw it. We had a new chula, right? So what can you do about it? And so this was the experience. So there are other uses, there are cultural biases. So we started looking at improvement in existing traditional chula. Now, as far as we know, not many people are working on this. In fact, it is a very challenging field because we went to Medghat area. In a village, there are 6 types of chula in a single village. Across India, there are at least hundreds of chulas. The chula that we have documented here is only for Karzat and maybe Raigad. But if you go to Ghat, Satara, in fact, I couldn't load those pictures, they are too much of memory, but yeah, these chulas are totally different. Right? Vidarbha, chulas are totally different. So we have to work on all these chulas, that means. But we started working on improvements in traditional cook stoves. See, do you see the participation every time? Had we just pressed on to improve chula and trying to modify, come back to lab, trying to modify, make the flame exposure, this and that. Today, the situation is there are hundreds or at least 150 or 200 designs of improved chulas certified by government, available under subsidy, except one chula, Astra Ola. Rest of the chula has acceptability of not more than 2%, right? Whereas, well, let us see what our effort led to. So, design optimization. So, we tried to work on the traditional cook stove. So, how the traditional cook stove can be improved? We can have a chimney, we can have grate below the fire thing so that there is air flow improved. There can be pot rest height can be increased so that the gap is was improved and so on. So, there are 2-3 typical ways by which we can modify the chula. So, we conducted water boiling test. Of course, there is a standard for it, what is the pot diameter and this and that. So, we conducted water boiling test, found out efficiency, right. And then develop a thermochemical model. It is a very challenging thing in the sense that it is so much, it is about yeah, we can see the volume, right. The volume of chula is about 9. So, the combustion chamber is about 6 liters or maybe 4 liters, depends on the design, whether it is 2 pot or 3 pot. So, that is the chamber about 4 or 6 liters in which there is combustion, there is a heat transfer, there is a fluid flow, right, everything is there. So, like in boiler there is a combustion chamber, then there is a radiative chamber, then there is a convective area. Here it is everything in that 4 liter volume. It is very difficult to model. In fact, Professor Date has, in fact I should mention Professor Date, who was guide of Vijay Honkarskar. I was only the examiner, and he worked on this chula. He developed this model. He was called for a 1-hour lecture in ASME conference in US to talk about how to model a chula, okay, because it is exceptionally challenging. Boiler modeling is fine, but he was called, and of course he went and gave lecture on that. So, 1 hour people all over the world listened to how to model a traditional cook stove from Karzat, okay. That is the technical challenge. Well, so, and there is no CFD, CFD is very difficult. So, we do a phenomenological model, that means these are the wood, the burning rate of wood is so much. So, that is rates are defined, predefined, tested. So, practical experiment and model is together, various rates are, then how the wood temperature increases from outside to center. So, there are certain experiments. So, we take that data and so on. So, it is a phenomenological model. You want? Try CFD, open, field is open, okay. So, we did this phenomenological model, had energy flow, and then found that yes, 25.81%, right, 26% heat is transferred to pot, exit losses are 25% and combustion losses are 36%. So, we have to concentrate on these two things, okay. So, we developed a twisted tape, like the one that we showed initially. This is a twisted tape and this is a chulha with twisted tape, okay. Just insert it here, it is not a new chulha, but just insert this thing there, and we tested it, varying number of width and of the twisted tape, number of twisted tape, how much you twist it, what is the height, what is the degree of twisting, and then so you do that test, again water boiling test with twisted tape now, and you can see that as number of twisted tapes vary, there are many graphs, I am just showing just one, and the efficiency varies and it goes up to 33% compared to 25% or 20%, right. So, 20 to 13 or say at least 40 to 50% improvement, okay. So, that is, I am not going into technical details, but Vijay's thesis has all this, there is I think a paper on it also. And so, this is the twisted tape in the chula and this is a twisted tape. It is just the metal strip turned with a hole hanging on it, that is it, okay. It cost about 80 rupees, maybe 100 rupees, it can be made by local blacksmith, that is the beauty of it. So, how does it work? It improves air fuel mixing and fuel residence time. So, the combustion is, that is how we attack the combustion. So, improves flame because there is a turbulence, right. It improves flame stability, extends flammable limit by turbulent mixing, improves jet impingement. So, it comes with the speed. So, there is a jet impingement on the pot. So, heat transfer is good, and then it is swirling and having higher heat transfer area, improves contact area between flame and surface. So, the heat, so combustion is improved and heat transfer to pot, that is improved, right. So, those two ends we are trying to address and increase in the pressure drop. So, this also manages, sometimes maybe we have to have it with a grate under the wire, so that airflow increases, but many times no, because the mouth is typically very high, airflow rate compared to that volume is always very high in the present design, okay. So, there are technical matters which you can easily understand and model and see. You can see the twisted tape in a chula, 3-pot chula, people are, women are working, and in fact, of course, an N is missing here, they named it, okay. The women named it Mandoli, it is hanging, it is like a mundavalya, like the bride and groom wear those mundavla, right, at the time of marriage. So they correlated it with it and they called it mandoli. It should be M-A-N, like mandoli. So that's the way of acceptance. And in Gawandwadi, 95 to 98% women started using it. In fact, the case, one of the case was a young lady got married and he told her mother that don't give me anything else, give me mundaya, right? Give me only this because that is going to save at least a day per week for going to forest. So give me that, right? So that's the level of acceptance. So this is Tukibai in Gawandwadi using 2-pot chula. So it's like this. Chula is part of that OTA also, platform also, right? So their experience is a bundle of wood that would last them 3 days now lasts for 4 days. Soot accumulation over the outer surface of pots has reduced. 4 girls obtained a saving of between 15 to 20%. Now this was done, so mandoli or twisted tape pack also installed in traditional cook stoves in Ganesh Puri, Zawar areas of Palghar district, Satara district, other areas of Satara district, Pathri district Yavatmal, Pimpalgaon in Sangamner, also Yadgir in Karnataka and so on things. Then at a local artisan who is a blacksmith started doing it. He learned and he started doing it and put up a flex. Chulila mandolya baswa phate wachwa, right? So he has developed a commercial model out of it and he started selling at 100 rupees, right? And people will come to him. In fact, afterwards in Ganeshpur area, we had a local 4 people. Now they are trying to market it. They adopted it and they are marketing it. They had a stall in Athodi Bazaar, the weekly bazaar in Vajreshwari, and so on, right? So you just instigate people, you just facilitate people to do something. Well, we didn't leave it at that. Then we went again. After 2 or 3 years, we have now running a Tata Center project in which we are going to Ganeshpuri area, in the area where they have used this twisted tape for 2 to 3 years. We surveyed them and then they came up with 27 different benefits. Okay. I am not going to all, but a wood bundle that would last for 3 days now lasts for 4 days, reduction in number of trips to forest, soot accumulation over the outer surface, less blackening of hands and walls. That's very important. Now the lady's husband tells that your hands are now cleaner, right? So that's a good point for her. Less thermal drudgery, the shock is reduced. They can leave, the flame is stable so that they can do independently, they can leave it. Otherwise they will have to blow air into it. They don't. So they can leave, do something else, come back. So that's another thing and so on. Like a cat won't come because it remains hot for long. So cat won't come. So there are many such things. There are 27 benefits that. So this is how in a participatory manner we learned. Right? Throughout the participatory design is important. Of course, we are learning because we want to improve. If possible, we will improve it, right? So it's design is not the end. So that's the last slide of this part of the presentation. So it's a participation. So there is a ladder of participation. Typically, many times people are just manipulated, told that okay, this is the survey, or they just do it as a therapy. They just tell that okay, yeah, that's it, or they just inform that okay, this is going to happen. There is suddenly a notice on the board that there is going to be dam, right? Or there is some consultation. The meeting is held, the district magistrate comes, discusses, and that's it. People will tell them, but are they taken into confidence? There is a contract. People are involved sometimes. NGOs are there, so they will build. So NGO will come up with design and then dam is built and there is a contract with people saying that okay, you do this, we do this and that's it. There can be delegated power. Okay, you do it, you maintain it. Or there can be people's control. So there are various levels of participation, right? For that there are many techniques and a technology has a role in it and we should see technology as a overall design for social change, design for participation, design for development. Right? According to me, that is the challenge, that is the whole purpose. Okay. Any questions?
As the conventional chula, there is a CO2, lot of CO2 around this oven. So in this chula, there kind of reduction was happened or not?
Great.
Because it is the very big problem
Yes.
for this for the health concern.
We don't have any data on what is the emission from traditional chula. Hardcore lab or field data. Field is totally missing. There are some lab data. Okay. So we are having a project. We are now testing the emissions. TCTD project, Tata Center project. We are now measuring. I have developed a chula lab under my seed grant. My technology domain chula lab. Right, and in that chula lab, we are having this equipment for pollution measurement of CO, CO2, PM 2.5 and PM 10 mainly. Okay, and so we are trying to do it. There is a confusion also. See, typically compared to traditional, so we also want to compare.
Yeah.
After putting the twisted tape, the CO2 increases. That is because more energy is output. So actually we should put as per energy output. In fact, we say that, I didn't mention that, but water boiling test is not sufficient. We had, that is in my college days, we had taken a chula to village, improved chula at that time, and said that, see, this is improved chula and then this will help you, and we want to demonstrate you, and we thought that we will make a upma. But then at last time local NGO said that forget about upma, do tea. And so we put water for boiling, and it took half an hour for the water to boil, and people started laughing, right? Because we improved the efficiency by admitting more air, so the temperatures dropped, so the cooking took time, right? So it's not efficiency which is important, it is a food specific fuel consumption which is important. So we do, I didn't mention that, sorry for that, but we have a kitchen performance test, right? So we do kitchen performance test. So we measure 100 kg wood and ask the lady to document when and how much you have cooked, like there are guests, 3 guests on this day, we cooked non-veg and something like that, and then see how much is the wood saving, or calculate food specific fuel consumption, like we did the table, bhakri, how much wood is required. So that is important, food specific fuel consumption. So it's not only increasing efficiency, it's also managing the temperature properly so that cooking is proper. That depends on what kind of cooking. So how the eating and cooking practice comes into picture is this way, and you know when you interact. Well, anything?
Complete burning, I think it is good.
Yes, complete burning is impossible.
No.
It's good, but impossible. Yeah, but increased burning is good. Yes. Also, the twisted tape, the soot gets deposited on it.
Yes.
Right. So the soot emitted is less. So this is like, so there are two things: emissions from chula and kitchen pollution, air pollution. There are two things. In fact, a very bad chula, but just a porous wall behind the chula will reduce the room pollution.
Yes.
So that's different. So how to design the kitchen is yet another thing, but of course first thing should be emissions to be reduced.
Yes.
Okay. So good point about the emissions.
I was searching the point from the first to last.
Okay.
This is the concern, biggest concern.
I think in one of the slides there is CO2 mentioned.
Yes.
CO2
No. I
emissions.
was searching.
Good.
So
Good.
could not.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Anything?
Below the
See? Yeah, below.
Below the chula?
Twisted tape is here. Chula, wood is here. This is the mouth. Wood goes here.
So is there any gap between the chula and the wood?
Traditionally, no. But if required, if the airflow is less, yes, we will put a grate there. We will dig some hole there and put a grate. So
Yes.
that the grate is on the ground level and there is a path for air to flow if we feel required.
Air as well as the wood. I think once the wood finishes complete burning, then again they have to add other
Yeah, it's
wood.
simultaneous. So the wood is pushed in continuously and then new wood is added depending on how much is the cooking time required. Yeah. So it has to be pushed or put additional. Of course, in the beginning they will have small tweaks so that burning is easy. Then put and they will arrange it properly. It cannot be just
It cannot
stuffed.
be just-
It's a skill.
Availability of oxygen is good because
Yeah.
unavailability of oxygen, CO2
Then
CO2
availability
is better
oxygen
than the
is
CO.
no issue. Of course, you mean air. So sometimes, suppose the same chula is used for higher power, then we will have to modify and maybe the grate has to be put so that more air goes and burning is better.
We
and so
don't
on.
want to produce CO because CO is more dangerous than that of CO2.
Yeah, but it's highly unstable in the sense within a short time it becomes CO2. But of course, so another thing is we are also Professor Virendra Sethi of Environment Science in IIT is working on pollution, right? Kitchen room pollution. So for example, he puts a sensor for CO at the level of nose when the woman sits there. So we want to know that also. That's also there. Yes.
Prior to using this type of chula, tribal people, what type of design of chulas they are using?
This is the chula design they are using.
Means,
This is the design they are using. We have only added this twisted tape pack on top of it and that's it. That's the whole point.
is that they are using the single pot type or?
There are either 2-pot or 3-pot in this region. I showed you 2 designs, no? 2-pot or 3-pot. So this is 3-pot chula, right? And with a single mouth. There are various designs. Sometimes there is a design where so here the wood fire goes to all 3 places. Sometimes only flue gas goes to the 3rd one. But this region is like this. So this is 3-pot and this is single pot. 2-pot. 2 and 3-pot. There is no single pot chula. So in fact they will put the wood like that and just cover this one end if they want only single pot. But that will be a suboptimal use of chula.
There will be a heat loss.
But that's the practice.
No, at our place, people use single pot chula.
So something can be done for single pot. In fact, Mehsana is single pot. And they will have 2 such one if required, but single pot. In fact, it's like this. And so, if there is a small pot, it will go at the end. And if there is a big pot, it will cover the whole chula. So, accordingly, the same chula can be used for 2-3 sizes of pots. That's also interesting design, Mehsana idea. Yes. I think we will stop here.
So, behind putting this kind of twisted things, what is the technology? How did it came to your mind?
One of the reason is Professor Date had done his PhD on twisted tape. In the sense that not in chula. See, twisted tape is a known domain. In a pipe, you have a twisted tape. That way you increase turbulence, but it increases pressure drop. So you just don't have a tape, but you have twisted tape modules. So one twisted tape, then just a rod and then another twisted tape. So you space them because a turbulence created by one in a pipe flow doesn't die out immediately, it continues. So that effect is there, but the pressure drop is reduced. So that is the area where Professor Date has worked. So twisted, but of course we have a problem also, we have a scope for improvement in the sense that twisted tape here has some height. Now that occupies the volume. So what we are working is like a fan like thing. So now we want to test a fan like thing. So it will be a more planar but just twisted blades. How does it work? Yeah, we need to study. But the thing is the device that people can use. So acceptability is 95 to 98%. People have named it. That's the best thing I feel. right? And they were built up into it. They were told, they told us, कि, okay, ये करो, ऐसा है ना? That is authenticity of the technology. Okay, that's the point. And there can be many other technologies like this. We are working on. No maintenance is required. But, huh?
Sometimes what happens,
Oh, sometimes what we are doing is we are giving a giving cow
So
dung.
you just remove it.
Uh-huh.
It is just placed there. You just remove it, do whatever you want, put it back. But after 2-3 years, it starts, because it is very hot, gets hot, so it starts corroding. So after
Yeah.
2-3 years, you need to put
Replace
one.
it.
Replace it. It's
Yes.
about 80 rupees, 100 rupees.
Hmm.
So that's maybe in some villages now the blacksmith has started doing it, not all.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can.
It
So
can
we
be
quoted
used.
it by, we had some, we started making, as Satara, Vijay's friend also makes it, and that is, what is, galvanized.
Okay.
Now that increases the life by about 1 year, increases the cost by about 20 rupees. So that's possible. So we can further develop such things. Okay, thanks. Maybe sometime the next one, I will increase the space next time. Thank you.